Study Section 3: Colonialism and Capitalist Penetration of Africa. Introduction. This study section will introduce you to the strategies, colonialist penetrations, and integration of Africa's economy with the Western capitalist areas of exploration will include the introduction of money, economy, domination of trade, and the influence of colonial investments. Learning outcomes. When you have studied this section, you should be able to analyze the strategies of colonial penetration. Colonial penetration. Introduction of money economy. It is a common knowledge that one of the reasons for the colonial domination of the continent was the drive by Western Europeans to establish a viable market where Europeans can sell their manufactured goods, making sufficient revenue. However, at this period, African system was essentially a barter system, thus making it difficult for the Europeans to achieve their aims. Thus, there was a need for the monetization of the African economic systems to be in congruence with what is obtainable on the Europeans' markets. This followed the introduction of money as the only acceptable medium of exchange, Nwankwo, 1998. Furthermore, Ake possessed that although the monetization of the economy of the African state began long before colonialism, it is, however, not out of place to state that colonialism facilitated the monetization process of the African economic system. The colonialists were able to successfully monetize African economy by completely destroying extant pre-colonial medium of exchange considered as rudimentary monetization and replacing it with European currencies, which was made very pervasive in the economy of the African states. He stated that the monetization of African economies under colonialism is the process of tying these economies to those of the metropole. Therefore, the colonial monetary policy was essential contrivances of the colonialists, in which the monetary policies of the Western industrialized states were achieved with little or no consideration for the colonies. Ake, 1981, 1-35. Nwankwo further stated that the colonialists perfected a strategy that will ensure the colonial people are fully dependent on them. One of these measures was to ensure that the European currency was made very difficult to obtain. Hence, the prices of the primary product or commodities by the African were bought at a cheap price, while the manufactured goods or finished product were sold at a high price. The result of this is that the African will have to work all their lives to achieve relative comfort in which the European manufactured goods provide, therefore making Africans' labor readily available for the Europeans to exploit. Thus, Nwankwo posits that monetization of the African economy and introduction of currency institution was an effective imperialist instrument used by the colonialists to maintain effective control and domination of African territories. Domination of trade. Forms of trade were extant in the pre-colonial settings. However, these patterns of trade was not beneficial to the economies of European powers. During this period in history, the Europeans did not pay much attention to trading in the interiors of African societies. Trade was primarily left in the hands of African middlemen. In contrast, all this changed during colonialism. The colonialists who sought for raw materials and the establishment of markets for their manufactured goods had to take complete control of the economy of the colonies in order to influence the production of goods, how goods are to be produced and at what quality. By this, the colonialists took over the control of primary production and established structures that would further consolidate their control and thus serve their interest. Ake further states that extending the primary production and developing new sources of raw materials means extending the capitalist mode of production. It also means that the extension of capitalist social relations, the extension of agrarian capitalism, the proletarianism of some peasants, and the rudimentary development of local bourgeoisies. In this way, trade promoted the integration of African economies into the world capitalist system. AK 1981-36. Influence of colonial investments. Another medium through which the European capitalists appropriated the economies of the colonies was through the form of colonial investments. This pattern of investment helped the colonialists to successfully perpetuate structural dependence of the economies of the colonies on the economies of the metropoles. The effect of this demand on the production of primary products further strengthens the international division of labor and fundamental dependence of its colonies on the metropolis. Unfortunately, these foreign investments, which increase the production of primary goods, fails to improve the development of the product, forces needed for development of the colonies. In order to fully integrate African economies, it was expedient for the colonies to invest in infrastructural development, which were recovered through the balance of payments and making demands on the production of primary products. The effect of these demands on the production of primary products further strengthened the international division of labor and fundamental dependence of the colonies on the metropolis. Unfortunately, this foreign investment, which increased the production of primary goods, failed to improve on the development of the productive forces needed for development of the colonies. Study section summary. In this study section, we explored 3 strategies which were employed in the penetration by the colonialists on the economies of the colony. This include the monetization of the African economy, which was previously largely based on barter system, the denomination of trade by the colonialists, that is control of what to produce, how to produce, and what quantity to produce, and the colonialist investments on infrastructural developments. End of study section 3. Thank you for listening.